Abdoulaye Thiam is transferring, and what to look for this Saturday when it comes to the spring football game here on Locked On Golden Gophers.
Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever. Bet Online, where the game starts. Welcome to the Locked On Golden Gophers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kane Rob. I'm host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant. Happy to be here with the Locked On Golden Gophers podcast. And please check us out over on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. We're getting kicked off over there. We're going to get a whole bunch of interviews coming in the month of May. We got commits. We got players on the team. We have a couple of Gophers and analysts. It's going to be a great time. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep growing. Be sure to follow the podcast wherever you find your podcasts and give it a 5-star review. Today, we're going to talk spring game. I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be an exciting one. So let's talk about what we're going to look for on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to the spring game this Saturday. Now, what we're going to look for, number one, is who's running the backup quarterback position. Is it Autman Kayak-Manis or is it Cole Kramer? And I think that we're really pulling for Autman Kayak-Manis. I know I am. I hope you are. I know a lot of people across the fan base are. 4-star quarterback commit, one of the highest commits that we've ever had on the football program. Super excited to see what he can do. Again, we know he's raw, but he has the talent. And I think he's a player that after sitting this one more year, it's going to be his time. It's going to be time for him to step up. He's going to have the reps over the course of 2 years. And now this 1 year in Kirk Ciarrocca's system, I'm just really looking forward to it. So hopefully he's been doing enough in this spring ball to at least secure that backup role. If he did that, then sky's the limit. Let's look forward to it. And if he hasn't, we're going to have to be patient. I mean, it's a little concerning, but at the same time, I feel like PJ Fleck and the coaches, they do value the longevity and the experience that you bring to the field. So I could see Cole Kramer ending up being in that backup role, but we're going to have to look out for it. We're going to have to see what happens. Now, next up is we want to look at Bryce Williams. He is going to be playing in the spring game, so that brings a little bit more experience to the running back room. But it's said that he's going to be on a pitch count. So let's see how healthy he's looking. Does he have the explosion? Is he looking like he's all the way back for the most part, pitch count or not? Or is there hesitancy? Is there delay when making cuts or finding the hole? That's going to be something to really pay attention to. But in that running back room as well, we really want to take a look at what Zach Evans brings to the table. I've mentioned it multiple times on this podcast, but I think Zach Evans is a large reason on why Bucky Irving entered the transfer portal. And PJ Fleck in his most recent press conference had literally mentioned saying how special he thinks that he could be. He said to Ryan Burns that it's been eye-opening so far and that he's going to be a really, really good player once he's had more reps. And right now he's getting a ton of reps because Mo is not able to take these reps. Trayson Potts is not able to take these reps. And Bryce Williams is on a pitch count. So he's getting tons and tons of reps, which is great. And the fact that they can already tell he's going to be special, that's major. I really look forward to seeing what happens with him. It's probably one of the things that I look forward to the most. So be sure to keep an eye on number 26, the running back, Zach Evans. Now, outside of the running game, of course, we want to see what the passing game is looking like. How is it being distributed? How involved is Brevin Spann-Ford? Again, PJ Fleck just preached about how special of a camp and how special a spring ball Brevin has had this spring and how he's been extremely special. He's been standing out. And like I said, we should have been getting him involved over the past few years. But the fact that he's improved in the run blocking game will keep him on the field more, which also allows him to have more opportunities in the pass game. I don't know about you, but I am here for it. So I'm super excited to see how the passing game is used, how it's incorporated. And one thing to really take a look at is the average depth of target. Now, of course, we're not pulling out all the stops. We're not pulling out all the plays. We're not showing the whole playbook because, I mean, the Big Ten Network is filming this, and you would be an absolute fool if you didn't think that other programs are not taking these TV copies and at least getting a study if they have the Gophers on their schedule this week. Or this year, not this week. If they have them on this week, well, we got some problems. But this year, they're 1,000% grabbing this film and at least trying to get glimpses of what to prep for this season. I can speak from experience saying we absolutely did that, even at the Division II level where I was a video coordinator. So 1,000%, they're not going to show the whole playbook. They're not even going to show what the main portions of the playbook will be, but it will be interesting to see how many shots Tanner Morgan will take down the field. If he's spreading the ball throughout the field from intermediate to deep to short to behind the line of scrimmage, to see how they're working in the passing game and where those targets are going. So that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to on the offensive side of ball. And then lastly, who starts at the offensive line? Right now, it sounds like Ersery is a lock for the starting offensive line, along with John Michael Schmitz and Chuck Filiaga. Those three are locked into the starting offensive line. I don't even know. I would be absolutely shocked. My mind would be blown. Are you kidding me? Like, that's how I would feel if those three aren't locked in. After everything I've been hearing out of the spring camp, those three are a strong makeup, and they're going to be great players to see on the field. Ersery keeps getting so much praise from PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck said that he literally has the potential to be the best player that he has coached in his time with the program. He's not there yet, but he has that level of talent, and he's flat out said that to Ersery. So if he puts in the work and he puts in the grind, if that's what can get him motivated and light the fire to be able to reach that potential, knowing that we have offensive linemen that are going to go day 2 this year, that he could be even better than that and easily be possibly a day 1 pick, that's astounding. So get fired up for Aireontae Ersery. I'm really excited for him. One of the most things I'm looking forward to this season. But let's talk about the other 2 offensive line positions. Now, I didn't know this, but JJ Gaudet is out. So they don't have him. And as we know, Quinn Carroll hasn't joined the team yet. He won't be able to join them till the summer. So that really is going to give us something to look for those 2 other lineman positions. We'll probably see a little bit of Axel Rushmeyer in there. Maybe a little bit of Martez Lewis popping in there. And I really think that some of the young guys could stand out like we've talked about in the older episodes that we've mentioned in the past couple of weeks. So be on the lookout for that. That's what we're going to look for on the offensive side of ball, especially Zach Evans, especially Ethan Kayak-Manis, and that offensive line. So stay tuned for that. I know you're tuning into the game on Saturday. I will be too. And we're going to talk about more coming up next. But first, I want to talk to you about our friends over at Bet Online, because Bet Online is your number 1 source for sports wagering info and all of your betting information. So let's talk about Bet Online. I am looking at the NCAA futures by the Heisman Trophy right now on Bet Online. And who has the number 1 odds to win the Heisman next year? Is it Bryce Young again, who won it last year? No. The person with the number 1 odds is none other than Big Ten quarterback CJ Stroud of Ohio State, which kind of surprised me, knowing that Bryce Young has already won it and the fact that Caleb Williams is still working with Lincoln Riley. Caleb Williams is third. And now if you're really interested, those guys, so CJ Stroud plus 250, Bryce Young plus 500, Caleb Williams plus 850. But if you're really feeling dangerous and you really think that Big Mo is going to get it done this year, he's plus 10,000. So that it's a sleeper bet. I don't know if I'd put my money on it, but you can go check out all those odds, all of the numbers for that, plus NBA playoffs, plus NHL, plus MLB, all over at BetOnline. So head on over to the website and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action, because BetOnline is where the game starts. So let's get back into the spring game. We won't dive too much further into it, but I do want to talk about defense and what we're looking for on the flip side of the ball. Now, one name I really want to put out there for you right now is Flip Dixon. Michael Dixon, I've just been hearing more and more about him every week of these spring camps. So he's someone that's really jumping out, popping out, standing out. It's something you love to see. He plays the defensive back position. I'm not sure if he's more in that nickel area as well. And that's what I'm really going to be looking for, is how they move and use Flip Dixon with how much they have been talking about him. Not only have the coaches been talking about him, media has been talking about him, but even Chris Autman-Bell said that he has been giving the receiver core work. So Michael Flip Dixon is going to be a guy I have my eye on this spring game. Now, what else we should look for on the defensive side of the ball? We want to look at who those starters are. I mean, you can lock in Trill Carter like we've already established. I'm guessing Darnell Jeffries, Lorenza Surgers, those guys are going to be starting as well. Those transfer portal guys that we've brought in. PJ Fleck has already mentioned he's bringing those guys in to compete to start. And I'm not going to be surprised when they're really putting in the work to do it. But you're going to see guys like Thomas Rush out there, Mariano Sori-Marin. But outside of that, who are we seeing? I mean, we'll see Nubin, yes. We'll see Wally, yes. Again, these guys are all givens and they're locks. But names that have popped out that I've been hearing is 2 true freshmen. Now, we went over our true freshmen earlier in the weeks ahead, talking about all the new pieces to the defense. And I mentioned one name, and it was a little bit kind of not poking fun, but it was, this is a name for sure, like the name for football. And that was Maverick Baranowski. What a baller name. We've already talked about that, but not only is it a baller name, apparently he has been balling as a true freshman. See him and Bryson Coleman, who plays safety. So Maverick Baranowski plays linebacker, and then Bryson Coleman plays safety. They both have been standing out in camp. They both have gotten love from PJ Fleck in conferences now, in interviews now, and it seems like they're standing out early. They seem like they could be the true freshmen that maybe get time into their rotation in their true freshman years. So that's awesome to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing those two guys, and you should be too. Those are two guys to definitely keep your eye on. So we want to check out the starters, but those 2 true freshmen, keep them on your radar. I think we're going to be hearing their name for years to come. Now, one thing to really keep in mind during the game is how much pressure are we getting on the quarterbacks? How effective is this defense? Now, of course, they're not going to hit the quarterback. They're not going to make any contact, but you always see them blow by, run by, and we'll see how much pressure we're really getting on them. Not only will that kind of give us an estimate on what our new offensive line is looking like, but how effective our pass rush is. I think that we're going to be just fine in coverage as far as DBs go. Wally's going to hold his own. Nubin's going to hold his own. I mean, like we just said, Flip Dixon is out there balling. So I think we're going to have rock solid coverage from D-backs, but it comes to how quick can we get pressure on the offensive line or on the quarterback and give pressure to the offensive line. So that's another thing that I'm really looking forward to keeping an eye on. And then lastly, on the defensive ball, I want to see how those transfers are doing. Namely, Lorenzo Surgers, we're looking for him. Darnell Jeffries, we're looking for him. Those two on the D-line, and then the two D-backs, Ryan Stapp and Beanie Bishop. I've been hearing really good leadership things about Beanie Bishop, so you love to see that, but how does it translate to the field? Those guys are both coming from lower programs, Ryan Stapp being from the FCS and Beanie Bishop coming from Western Kentucky. So they have experience. They've done great things at those lower levels, but now we're Power 5, baby. It's a whole new game, and I want to see how those guys are stepping up. Our offense has so many veterans coming back. Outside of the O-line, the rest of the weapons on our offense all have hardcore experience that have competed in the Big Ten and put up numbers before. And they've put up, especially the run game, some of the pass catching options, and Tanner as a quarterback has put up numbers. So how are those new guys stepping in and stepping up to that level of play? That's going to be something to look forward to. And this spring game is going to be a blast. I hope you can't wait because I am pumped. I am jacked. I am ready. It's like I just took some pre-workout and I'm ready to go. I'm going to be just itching to watch this game. So be sure to be on the lookout for all of that. It's going to be a great time. If you have any questions whatsoever approaching that, drop them in the comments below. We have a mailbag episode tomorrow. I have a couple things if we don't have enough mailbag questions to get through the episode, but I want you to drop them now. Put them in the comments below. We're going to hit them in the mailbag episode tomorrow. Now, next we're going to talk about transfer from the basketball program. First one for the men's program this season. And we're going to jump into that next. So yes, we've had our first transfer from the men's basketball program, and that is Abdoulaye Thiam. He was a freshman this past season, didn't get a whole lot of time, but our guard depth, he plays guard. Our guard depth is pretty shallow right now, especially right now. And so with him transferring, it opens up another scholarship opportunity, but it was a little bit surprising and not. A balance between both, because with the shallow depth, you think he would have had some time on the floor or some time to acclimate himself and prove he should get more time in the system. But at the same time, if he believes that he should be a heavy scorer or heavy opportunist on the team, that's just not going to happen. I mean, Dawson Garcia, Jamison Battle, those two guys are 1,000% going to be the heads of that offensive attack, and Parker Fox on top of that. Those three guys will be the focus when it comes to scoring with the Gophers men's basketball team this next year, which is why Talon Cooper makes so much sense. I've already said, and I'm not calling him Chris Paul, so don't take it that way, but he's going to play that type of role for this team, that role where he can set up the offense, he can run the offense, but everything he does makes him a threat. He can score if he needs to, but it's really about facilitating, running, and dropping the ball off to our scorers. And he's going to run that crisp and clean. And he is 1,000% going to be the starter. So I can see if Thiam wanted more time or thought he would have the opportunity to start at point guard, that's just not going to happen. We've got those four guys locked into starting spots. I would be absolutely dumbfounded if those four guys aren't starting. Cooper, Garcia, Fox, Battle. Those guys are starting. So now it comes down to who is going to play the other guard positions. The only other guard we currently have on scholarship on the roster is Braden Carrington from Park Center. We have 3 scholarships left, and the transfers, we're going to hit it hard. I guarantee we're going to go all out on these guards, and we need to, I'm telling you folks, we need to go get Josiah Strong. You get Josiah Strong, we're going to be balling out. You get Josiah Strong and Michael Jones, Big Ten, look out. Look out. We will be at least extremely competitive, possibly contending in the Big Ten. You make those additions. If those guys can come together, get the chemistry together, get the glue together, and get going early, look out. I mean, look how quickly we got together early last season prior to hitting the Big Ten games. If you can get them gelling early like you did last season, where we went, I believe, 10-1 to start the year. And then you move into the Big Ten with that talent. That talent, Dawson Garcia, Jamison Battle leading the front, Parker Fox contributing heavily, Cooper setting up and running the entire offense. Man, Strong and Jones hitting from deep consistently. Lock it up. We will be in the top 5 in the Big Ten. No cap. I'm not saying that because I'm some biased fan. I legitimately believe that. The talent is there. It's just putting it together, letting it gel, and making it work. And all of those guys will have at least 2 years of eligibility left, which means you put it all together this year and you compete. And next year, you go ham. You go big, you go home. And those young freshmen that are they're going to get relative minutes this year, like Pharrell Payne, Braden Carrington. A lot of people are out there trying to say Henley will also be a contributor. I am still a little bit tentative on that one, but he has the talent and the upside to be a dog. I look forward to him. I hope that he can contribute right away, but I'm skeptical on that. I think he's more of a development for at least next season. But man, I like best of wishes to Abdoulaye Thiam. You know, I'm not going to wish any ill on him. I hope he finds an opportunity where he can get what he is looking for at the collegiate level, but we're going to be okay. And the guard spot is the number one priority. 3-point shooting and filling guard spots. Now we have 3. So if we can draw in those 2 shooters, like I said, or someone of equal level of shooting, but fingers crossed, Josiah Strong, Michael Jones, if you're watching this, come on, let's make it happen. But then we can maybe add another big, maybe a more raw big man that we can start to fill in that rebounding potential worry that I've brought up a couple times. Definitely something to look out for. Now, thank you so much again for listening to Locked On Golden Gophers and making us your first listen. The draft is starting up today. The draft is starting tonight, so be sure to tune in to Locked On NFL live during the draft, where our experts will give you a play-by-play, and when I say that, I mean a pick-by-pick analysis, letting you know how your team did and what they think about the draft picks your team made. Be sure to tune into that. And then finally, I want to talk about our competition. Head on over to Twitter. You'll see it pinned, but here is the prize. Free mini alternate Gophers helmet. And I mean, this is the sweet one. Like, you got the M, you got Goldie, you got the tail running down the middle. It's free. All you got to do is head on over to the Twitter, where you'll subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and you retweet a tweet. That's it. Then we're going to pick a random winner from that. So head on over to Twitter, retweet that. Please subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, and drop any questions you have for our mailbag episode down below. Tomorrow we're going to get into the mailbag, and we're going to talk Gophers hockey. We had some key losses in the past 24 hours. We're going to dive into that. And maybe, just maybe, that means we're getting some news on Ryan Johnson and Sammy Walker. So tune in tomorrow. Can't wait to talk about it. Let's go. Hopefully Boye Mafe gets drafted tonight. This is Kane Rob signing off. Have a good one.